See you sucker soon on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Capital Region Today. I'm so happy you're joining us today. We've got a great lineup, so much information here that you're going to want to know because there's so much going on in the area. I'm so glad to see theaters are opening up. We're going to be talking a little bit about a theater, but we're going to be starting out first with talking about voting. Voting is really important. We got voting coming up on November the 2nd, but also there's, every 2 years we got big elections coming up. Then we're going to be talking to Remy from the Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York. I always have to think about that title. They've got an event coming up at Cap Rep, so we're going to be talking about that. Actually, it's on right now. Then we're going to be talking about Hot Connections. Oh, really, it's just about a book about fire, so we're going to be talking about that. We have a gentleman who's an engineer and PhD that knows all about fires. Then we're going to be talking about the Final Exit Network, and this has to do with compassion and choices towards the end of life. And then we're going to wrap up the show with the Family and Child Service of Schenectady. They do amazing things. You're going to be amazed at what they do. So we're going to start right out with our show. And we're going to start out with about voting. And we have the League of Women Voters from Saratoga here today. And we have two of our guests here. We're going to be talking about voting, and they've come up with a video. But wait, let them talk about it. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi.
Good to have you on the show today.
You.
We have Lezlie with us as well, Lezlie Dana.
Thanks for having us
Let's talk about the video. And just before the show, she told me, I did the script. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So tell me about that.
Well, it turned into a video because it was an initiative from the League of Women Voters called Take Me to Vote. And I worked on that for 10 years, and it was getting kids to the polls and getting the little I went to the polls today sticker, and it was to get kids to the polls young because that tends to keep them in the polls when they age. So last year...
It was familiarizing them with it, yeah.
Well, actually, yes, because the statistics say if you get started early, this is something you will do as a citizen later on. But last year, pandemic comes, and I went to the league and I said, I can't, in all good conscience, do this program this year. We can't send kids out into the public.
No,
yeah. I said, how do you think about this? Let's make a video to share with teachers, probably a lot of remote learning going on. Let's give the teachers a tool so they can do their citizenship piece, and it'll be safe, and the kids' job will be to visit websites and educate their parents for the importance of voting. And 2021 rolls around, I still can't get behind the idea of sending kids to the polls. Go to the league again. What do you think about doing another video? Because it's an off year. People don't know that it's important to vote.
But it's still important because these are local elections.
Exactly. So they were on board again. I put out an all call. Where do we have some talent? Found the talent.
Yeah. Hey, Lezlie, here you are. Yeah. What did you think of the project?
I really was delighted to be asked and to jump on for this particular issue, both the voting and bringing it into the youth. And I've done some other creative projects for the League in the past, and I thought it was a really tight script that moved really, really well.
I have to say, I watched it, and I hope that people will watch it, and if you'll tell them how to take a look at it if it's online. But the important thing about that is you really explain the different years and who votes and why. I thought it was excellent. I mean, of course, I voted every year because I'm one of these people that votes, But the thing is, I don't think a lot of people understand. And they'll say, oh, I forgot to vote. Oh, my vote doesn't count. What do you respond to that? My vote doesn't count.
Well, then you let me vote twice, is what I say.
Can you do that?
Well, no, because if you don't vote, then mine has more power.
Yeah.
You've empowered me in a way that I don't think was the intention.
Ah, that's a good
point.
point.
And a non-vote is a vote.
Yeah.
It
exactly.
is a vote, and people don't always connect
I have a little thing on my refrigerator that says you can opt out of voting, but you can't opt out of the consequences of that.
Well, and there was a thing that you'll see after an election. It says, don't blame me, I voted for so-and-so, one of those things.
Yeah, I've been noticing those lately.
Yeah.
But, no, the thing that was important to me, I also have in the past few years become increasingly irritated by this notion that civics is no longer being taught. And I'm a retired teacher, and I was mostly in 5th grade. So a lot of what you see in the video is 5th grade curriculum.
Oh, it was excellent,
So
excellent.
so my feeling was that I have to help teachers, because if we aren't careful, this importance of voting is going to be corroded and eroded. And so it was my response to, yeah, kids are being taught about government, and they are being encouraged to participate. And I don't know where these rumors came from that teachers don't do this anymore.
Well, it's
Because-
social media. I mean, people will say anything on social media, right?
Yeah. Well, teachers work hard to produce
course they
good
do.
citizens.
Yeah.
And I love, they start in kindergarten, your community, your firemen, and then it builds and builds. And so, yeah, we can't lose sight of the fact that teachers need our support, particularly now, when they're struggling to deliver important curriculum in a difficult time. So this video really is meant to be a kind of a gift.
Well, I have to say, I did watch it, and I think I've said this before, but the point is, I think everybody should see this video, not just kids, even though it's directed at kids, telling them to go talk to your parents, right?
Go research, bring them into it. One of the pieces I really value about this is it activates, it lets the kids know they've got action they can do now to participate, to be getting ready to be the citizens that we need, active, informed citizens down the line. And that gives them a place now in the conversation, which is, I think, really welcomed.
Well, it's interesting. I'll go back a few years in my own life when I was advocating for somebody running for president. And they said, well, why are you doing that? You can't vote.
Right.
Isn't that interesting? And I was a teenager at the time.
Right. Well, if you can get someone to vote, then you've had a voice.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting, even my little middle school kids, Chloe and Ethan, that came and I did the script with them and tweaked words if they thought the words were incorrect. And so I sent them home and said, I will know I did my job if you can explain to your parents what this is about. And when they got to the part about the amendments, the parents were like, I didn't know we had to vote for New York State amendments this year.
Of course.
That's a
big
huge thing. Not just local government, but this.
There hasn't been a lot of talk about
No,
it either.
there has not.
Because when I saw the video, I'm going, oh, we have to vote for an amendment this year?
Yeah, no, 5.
5 amendments?
And I actually, my transparency on this was like, oh, I never thought of the resolutions as an amendment to the state constitution.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it connects the dots in some really important
This is
ways.
why, there's so much with when we vote. There's so many issues that come up. You might get one, in a local community, should we, build on such and such. I mean, they have different things you can vote on. But, you don't think about the things like the amendments, which are very important.
Right.
And usually the newspapers will come out and say you're voting on these amendments and a pro and con, and I haven't seen anything.
Well, I would encourage people to go to the New York State Board of Election website or the League 411 website, because they're
and we've
very
been bringing those up.
complicated.
I think we've been bringing those up on the screen.
They're complicated issues. They deserve thoughtfulness, and real, education to go to the polls and make good choices. But back to the video, one of the things I thought was interesting, because I wanted to find out when I started the project, why do we vote in November? Where did that come from?
Oh, I love
And
that. I
I
love
was
that.
fascinated by that. I had no idea.
Should we leave that as a cliffhanger? Tell them to
Sure.
go look
Yeah.
at the video to find out why they did it in
Yeah.
November. There's a very
It
interesting
is.
reason
Very.
that really isn't so valid now, but it makes sense.
Well, the school year isn't valid either, but hint, hint, it's kind of based on that same kind of.
Go see the video. Yeah,
okay.
where can they see that video?
Well, it's.
Is it on YouTube?
Well, yes, it's linked there, but it's, if you can put up the website, I tried to make it easy to remember, and now I can't remember, but it's like League of Women Voters Saratoga, Teach Me to Vote.
Okay.
20.
Check it
21.
out. And I recommend that everybody take a look at that video, because I thought, as an adult and someone who has voted every year, I even got something out of that video.
I
So-
want to make one
did
little
too.
thing before we leave. It started out as Take Me to Vote, and then we changed it to Teach Me to Vote. And it's
Okay.
not only about teaching the kids, but the real connect is teach your parents how to vote.
Yeah. Just get out there and vote.
Yeah.
Vote. I don't care how you vote, but vote. Get out there, show
Exactly.
people what you think and how you believe. Whatever it is, it's important that and we are the worst country for voting when you look at other countries and you find out, 80% of people get out and vote and all that, and it's like, here we are, And I'll say quickly, I had a visitor from China, and it was in November. So I brought her into the vote. I asked if I could bring her into the voting booth, and they said, no problem. I brought her into the voting booth and showed her how we vote. She was amazed that we could actually vote for who we wanted.
Yeah.
So, not every country has this, and
Very few
some,
do.
and so get out there and vote. And
That's
listen,
right.
go to their website. It's the League of Women Voters Saratoga,
It's a great
LWV, Saratoga, and then .org, I believe. Is it org? Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
I wrote
it
it down.
is
It is
.org.
org.
Yes,
Org.
yes,
I got
yes.
it written down here. Org. And then teach me to vote. Right.
me to vote.
Take a look at that video.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
This
you.
is really important.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for being here and for doing that video. It was wonderful. So thank you
being
very
involved.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thank
And I want you to know that you are certainly doing a great job. So
Thank you.
anyway, yeah, that's great. Well, I don't want to lose all my guests all at once here, but I guess I am. I'm losing all my guests. So anyway, our next guest coming up is going to be Remy from the Black Theater Troupe, and we're going to be talking about Dead and Breathing, and then after that, we'll be talking with Jesse Aronstein about Hot Connections, which is his book. So, Dead and Breathing, tell me, how does that happen?
Oh, well.
So good to see
I'm
you
still
here.
breathing, so it's.
Yeah, I know, so good to see you here. He's such a delightful guest. I'm so happy
Thank
to have him
you.
here, yeah. So tell me, first of all, how did you pick the play and why?
Oh, I read every day.
You read every script there is.
Every script there is.
You and Patrick White, right?
Exactly. Especially plays that nobody else is doing. I bring them in, and I order them. People suggest them, and then at night, if I'm reading a play and I can't, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm still reading it, I know I have to do it. So this is one of. And we do mostly plays written by people of color, especially black.
Yes,
black playwrights.
absolutely, absolutely.
And this is one of them that I couldn't put it down. And
And-
the story and what it tells, it's very important. We do plays that educate and teach people and that bring people together. Those are the kind of stories that we do. So this is one of them.
Yeah, one of the things that you have, in a sense, is that you have to limit the number of characters because of COVID.
Yes, especially now. I mean, normally for the last 10 years, we've been doing plays of like 5 to 20 characters.
I know you have,
Okay,
yeah.
but the last two, Barbecue, that's a play.
You
not a
did
party.
that at a personal place, actually,
Yeah, so it was
a special
outdoor.
place, yeah.
That one has 10 actors, mainly because it was outside. Okay, but the first one, our first production at Cap Rep, our new home, and in a black box upstairs, we only have 2 characters. So which is Dead and Breathing. Yeah. I directed it, and then with 2 wonderful, talented actresses, Barbara Howard and.
Barbara Howard
yeah.
is wonderful. I've seen her in
Yes.
many plays. She's
I've
a
been-
wonderful actress.
Been working with her since we started the theater company.
Yeah, she's received awards too for her performances, I believe.
Well, she deserved one for this one
Yeah,
because she
yeah.
is wonderful. And Sch'dy Thompson, who's new in the area, but she was in my last play, and then I was looking for the other character, and then after I met her, and then I have 2 wonderful, talented actors.
Is it that you can call upon in the future if you need to?
Exactly.
But, well, Barbara's always in demand, I'm sure.
Right, yeah.
So what is Dead and Breathing about? I mean, if we were, first of all, what is it about, and is it appropriate for all ages? Those are my 2 questions.
It is. I wouldn't say it's appropriate for all ages. Maybe teenagers.
Okay,
and
and what subject does it deal with that is
Well, it's-
conflicted?
This play is hard to describe without giving away too much because there's so much into it. Dead and Breathing. It's the character's name is Carolyn. She's 75, and she is miserable. She hates people. She never liked people. and she's dying of cancer. And because in one of the lines, she said, one of the reasons she wanted to die, not because of cancer, because she's tired of destroying, because she's not a nice person.
And
mean
she
to
knows
people,
that.
And she knows that. And then
That's amazing.
Yeah, but she's dying of cancer. But she, her husband died years ago, and she's a miserable person. And then she had at least 17 nurses, aide, come to the house to take care of her. Nobody lasts except this last one, the 17th one, and Veronica, which is played by Sch'dy Thompson, and who come in to take care of her. And she finally found her match, and this one is tough. So there's more I could tell about that, but if I do,
you don't want to give away the story. But
yeah.
the fact is that they've kind of met their match in a way.
Exactly. It's like,
and neither one is going to probably give, but
no,
yeah.
right. But
yeah.
she's there to help her. Whatever, the nurse is there to help Caroline, the old lady, the sick old lady, because whatever she's asked, she'll be there for that, but she's tough. So.
Now, you have your actors. Of course, you have to have a set. Is your set simple, or did you have a designer come in, or how did that work? I mean, we want to give everybody credit.
You should see that set. It's mainly, decorated by our board president, actually, Sheila Miller. But it's really most of the set, because a woman also, Caroline, is very rich. She's a millionaire. She's rich. Okay? But the set is very rich and colorful, mostly African.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be kind of stark. No.
No. It's very, very bright, very colorful, and with African art. And it's actually a bedroom suite, with the bathroom and everything, or like that.
So it's quite a good.
It
yeah.
Most of the furnitures are from, people. Somebody in the group.
Yeah, I know how that goes. I've been in productions where, do you have a tea set? Bring it in.
Right, exactly. So it's really beautiful, and even the reviewer on the paper, they even mention it. That's how gorgeous it is.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give this to you, but there was a nice article in. Did you see the Gazette article?
Yes, I saw that,
Yeah.
and there's a new one. There's a new one from for Peter Bergman.
Okay.
You should definitely read that one. It came out.
And what paper was that?
It's a Berkshire Online.
Berkshire. Oh yeah, Berkshire Online. Okay, I know that one. Yeah.
And then one is coming out tomorrow by Bob Gafford. Also, it's going to be in the Troy Record and the Saratoga newspaper.
So it looks like you've got some good reviews.
A lot of great review. Yeah. So.
You're an amazing man. You really are. I mean, you just
Thank
just seem to gravitate to such good people. I know that you work very closely with Patrick White as well.
Right, yes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, it's very important, I started, I'm as an actor, and then get to a point where I come in the area where there wasn't enough of us. So I'm not giving up acting, but what I'm doing now is really important to bring in more people. And I'm enjoying it. I like it because, I'm helping and changing people.
So the Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York is a nonprofit?
Yes.
Yes, so you've formed a corporation, and you're doing everything you can to promote not only actors of color, but also producers probably, and playwrights or whatever.
Everybody in the art, in theater, not just actors. I'm out there, we need stage managers, we need black directors, and we need people to do lighting and sound and
You're
all
giving
that.
opportunities.
Right, yeah, and not just for us, because those people, the whole theater community need that. So I'm bringing those people in and train them, and then they can be out there helping others.
And move on to others. I mean, it's sort of like when you look at community theater, a lot of the people that start out as little kids in theater, and they go on to, and we've even had one in the area that went on to Broadway to play in Matilda.
Right.
So, I mean, Gabrielle, I believe her name is. Where did that come from? But anyway, it's in there somewhere. But the point is that it's a foundation.
Right.
And I think that you're playing actually at Cap Rep, which of course is an equity theater.
Equity Theater, Philip Morris.
And what is an equity theater? Tell people, because I mentioned that to someone, they said, well, what does that
Equity,
mean?
it's union.
It's a union.
To make it simple, not to make it too complicated, it's a union actors, and they mostly hired union actors.
Yeah.
Okay, and actors who get paid, that's what they do. They work with.
They get paid.
Right, yes. And we are a community theater, but.
We don't get paid.
All volunteers.
Yeah.
And then, but because of the work we've been doing over the years, and then Philip Morris and Maggie reached out. They said, we have a new building and we want to give you a home.
Yeah.
So now we have 4 productions a season, 3 in the black box, and then 1 going to be on a main stage.
You could do one on the
in
main
June.
stage.
Yeah.
So can you tell me the titles, or do you want to keep that a secret?
No, it's out. It's Camp Logan. So
Okay.
it's a play about black soldiers, 7 black soldiers. True story based. You can check it out on Google. Camp Logan in Texas.
Okay.
Those soldiers during World War I, they were
Oh,
there.
World War I.
They were there in training to go to the war, but because they were black, they didn't want them there. So they were being harassed, and there was a riot. They ended up hanging.
True story, based on true
Yes,
story? Oh,
yeah.
that should be fascinating.
They ended up hanging 20 black soldiers before they go to the war. So you can Google it, Camp Logan in Texas,
Okay.
and it was written by a wonderful black playwright Celeste Walker, who lives in Texas.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, we did it before. That was our first production back in 2011.
Oh,
So
okay,
and
yeah.
Because, like I
The
said,
title
Yeah.
rings a bell.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we're here to educate, to teach people, and so that's why I bring those stories.
Yeah,
To, They don't teach that in school, so I'm bringing it on stage. So
that's
people can
where a lot of things get taught is
Yeah.
on stage, and
I
good
don't-
and bad.
Exactly.
Good and bad. Let's
Yeah,
keep
so-
the good going.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you have a really good turnout. And when are the dates for the play?
This week is Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
Same thing last week.
Okay.
And if anybody you're going to see the play, I hope everybody call and make reservation, because last Sunday was sold out. It's very limited, 70 seats.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and Thursday through Sunday. This is
And
the
and
last
what are
week.
the restrictions? Not restrictions,
Yep.
but they wear a mask
You have
when
to
you're
be
there.
vaccinated
And vaccinated.
and wear masks.
Okay, good.
And bring your vaccination card.
Okay, well, keep
Yeah.
up the good work and come back again when you have your
It's
next
always
one
great
going.
being
I know,
here.
I'd
It's always
love to
good.
see you.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Check out the other one.
I will. I'm good at Berkshire. Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Remy.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about, of all things, Hot Connections. And I always kid it, it's not about dating. I love that. I mean, when I saw the title, I'm going, whoa, what is it? But anyway, Jesse is with me, Jesse Aronstein, and thank you so much. And your book, you've talked about so many things in your book. And first of all, I want to tell you that the Beverly Hills fire was, and that's not in California, that's in Kentucky, I believe it was.
Right.
And you actually testified in that case, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me, what happened in that fire how did it start? How did people not get out of the building? What happened?
I think that's a big,
Well, we'll condense a little
Sure.
bit, yeah.
basically, it was violations in all directions. There were no plans or training or general fire alarms in the
And it was a
building.
packed house, too.
It was a packed house. There were about 2,000 customers in the place. The staff did not know what to do. They improvised.
There was everyone for themselves, right?
Well, the staff was heroic, actually. A lot of people did what they would have done had they been trained. There were no general fire alarms.
No alarms?
No alarms.
And I understand that they went to the stage and said there's a fire and they thought it was part of the act.
Right, right. I'm glad you read the book. You obviously read the whole thing.
I'm telling you, it was an amazing story.
Yeah. The second part of the disaster is that the materials of the decorations in the place were highly flammable and gave off a very toxic smoke.
And of course, people die from smoke inhalation before they die of fire.
Right. Most of them were smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
And that was a cause of a big class action lawsuit also. The cause, because the destruction was almost complete, the cause is not really very well known. The area of origin is probably a region in the place about as large as this GE theater.
Yeah, because if
approximates.
when the place is gone, it's hard for them to go in to investigate and figure out where was the source.
Right, especially since there was a lot of disturbing of the remains due to the efforts to recover bodies and find survivors.
Some people were crushed to death too. I mean, it was like, you know,
Yeah,
a tragedy that never should have happened.
like many others.
Yeah,
They-
and
they
it was-
fix things up after the fact.
Yeah, the design of the building wasn't very good either as far as egress and ingress.
Well, it never was designed as a club. It was a repurposed building.
Oh, okay.
And the authorities looked the other way
Oh.
on things like exits and alarms and safety features. That was
Terrible.
another issue.
Yeah, well, we're going to move on, though, and talk about, and I have to tell you, this is funny, because I was at a dinner, and somebody said, oh, you do a show, tell me who's coming on, and I said, well, I have this gentleman coming on, Jesse Aronstein, and we're going to talk about fires and aluminum wiring. And the guy turned to me, he says, I can't believe that. He says, I just turned down buying a house because it was all had aluminum wiring in it. And it's like, what? So tell me about aluminum wiring and why it's not good, or is it okay?
Basically, the fundamental issue is that it has a skin on it of an insulating oxide. This is completely different from copper wire, which does not have an insulating skin on it. Copper
So if
has
you look at the
oxi-
wire, you wouldn't know what's inside,
The
right? I mean, you can't see the aluminum, right?
Well, that's correct. You
Right.
see the insulation.
That's what I'm saying. You don't see that.
The plastic insulation on it. But on the metal wire itself, as with all aluminum stuff, if you have aluminum screen storm door.
It
or-
oxidizes.
or aluminum
Yeah.
silverware, tableware, it has an oxide on
Yeah.
it. It's an invisible, very thin oxide, and it is a very good electrical insulator. And that puts special demands on connecting it, obtaining reliable connections that are safe in the
okay,
long term.
okay.
And what happens, the major problem in the homes was receptacles. We all have these, they're
Yeah.
probably 30, 40, 50 in a home.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
And so here's one, aluminum wired, and from the front, you don't see any problem.
I wouldn't even know if it was
But
aluminum.
in the backside, the insulation on the wire is burned off, and
Yeah, I think you can see that if I hold it up a little bit.
there's damage to the receptacle.
Yeah, you
So
can see that.
in the box, this thing was overheating at the connection, and that caused the insulation on the wire to be destroyed, the plastic insulation, and that is contributing to the destruction of and burning, actually, of the receptacle. In the limit, these things cause fires, and there have been many fires documented around the country from this cause.
Well, I have to tell you, my refrigerator stopped working, and when they pulled it out, above my receptacle was black.
Really? Okay, well, there are.
So
I don't-
fortunately, the circuit breaker worked, but the guy says you were lucky. So maybe there was aluminum in there. They put in a G fault where, grounded.
You get failures in all types of wiring.
Yeah, I have no idea what my wiring is, so
And-
now you're making me nervous, Jesse.
But this was epidemic, because in 1965 timeframe, housing was booming, and copper prices were high.
Oh, copper's always been high, yeah.
And the contractors could save a few bucks on each house in a development. Let's say if there are 500 homes in the
That's a lot of money,
development,
a lot of.
$10, $20,
yeah,
$30 a home.
Yeah, adds up.
Cheaper aluminum wire.
And it was approved at the time, right? I mean, they wouldn't have made it if it wasn't approved at the time.
That's correct. Well, that was another source of the problem. It was approved without being thoroughly tested.
Oh, okay.
And that was by the agency, let's say, that we think of as the tooth fairy of electrical safety, Underwriters Laboratories.
Yeah, well, I always think whenever I see that Underwriters on it, that we're good to go. This is a good piece, you know.
This was an exception.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
and-
like, it was like Boeing 737
exactly.
MAX is an exception.
Well, I want to just say that the contractors were not at fault, we'll put it that way, because they thought, even though it was cheaper, they thought it was okay.
That's right. It was marketed as okay. It was listed by UL for the purpose.
Yeah.
Everything is legitimate.
So it was not the contractors that were trying to, do damage to anybody.
That's correct.
Yeah. So your book, really, and I do want to, it's really a fascinating book. I would like to recommend this if you're interested at all in how fires start and what electrical wiring is about. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, it's more a book about people.
Yeah.
How people react in an industry that is supposedly or is self-regulating, where people have the authority to suppress a problem or to cure a problem.
Usually it's money, right?
But nobody has the responsibility to do it.
Oh,
They
okay.
have they can do it, but nobody, it's a distributed system. Nobody is at the head of it saying, I have the responsibility for public safety here.
And yet we all believe that there is somebody at the top saying, this toaster is UL, it's good, use it, no problem, you're never going to have.
And you still believe in the tooth fairy.
I do. So what can I, as a consumer, do? What can I do? If I can't believe the UL is okay,
Well, they are okay for most products. The problem is that when a safety issue arises, how do they react? Now, if you look at the UL website, UL does not recall any
there's no
products.
recalling like
They
in
have-
automobiles where they recall a part or something?
UL does not recall anything or do any alerting of the public to hazards
What?
other than posting Consumer Product Safety Commission recalls. In other words, they post government recalls, but they do not initiate any actions
That they
on
find
their
out
own
about?
of stuff they find out about.
Why is that?
It's
I
a
mean, it
commer-
certainly
It's a
can't-
commercial operation, is what it is.
So the UL is not really a protective body?
That's right. It has morphed in its 100 and some odd years of existence, it has morphed from a protective insurance
Yeah.
interest organization to a service organization to manufacturers. Their label is the key to getting a successful marketing.
Which is, of course, is what the manufacturers want.
Right,
So who funds the UL?
the manufacturers.
Well, let's think about that.
There's a kind of a conflict of interest,
Yeah, I
isn't
would
there?
think so. Yeah, it's just like having, the pharmaceutical manufacturers, funding the FDA or something.
Right.
Or maybe they do, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, they fund some of the research,
Yeah, they
that's
do.
for sure.
Research is one thing, yeah. But the point is that we need to be aware of things. And if you smell something that doesn't smell right, because the ballast, sometimes you can smell those burning up or something. I don't know what we can do to protect ourselves except to have a plan to get out of our homes. And I just recently had a dear friend die in a fire. So, yeah, just recently. And she couldn't get we found out from the fire department she couldn't get out of the building in time. She died of smoke inhalation.
Well, there are multiple issues, and UL is involved in several of these, and the manufacturers. And one of these issues is combustible plastics that
Oh,
are
yeah,
used
yeah.
in the appliances near electricity, near sources of ignition. There was one toaster made with a easily ignited combustible plastic
Well, who
shell.
was thinking of that
There
one?
were baby monitors that
Yeah.
were made with
I've heard the baby,
combustible.
yeah.
It isn't an easy problem to solve, and it's going to take probably a generation of
Yeah.
activists.
And these
to
are preventable,
change it.
these are preventable deaths, these are preventable. You know, if you
Yes.
have a plan, and the other thing is, a lot of things that we put carpets in our homes if they get on fire, they get fumes that will knock you out, and, you
Well,
know.
there's an example. Consumer Product Safety Commission got involved in carpet safety many years ago, and so we went up the ladder a few rungs on carpet safety from that.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's you never know where it's coming from.
There is a role for government here, because government represents the consumer.
Exactly.
The people who buy.
They should be
it.
impartial, not have the interest of the manufacturer or the producers or whatever it is. They need to
That's
be
correct.
the advocate for the people that they're protecting them.
That's correct.
Get the book. It's called Hot Connections. It's written by Jesse Aronstein, and you'll be amazed. It's really a very good book. So thank you for being here. We're going to switch over to our next guest, who's talking about the Final Exit Network, which is a group of people. Well, let's let Eleanor tell us about that.
Good morning, Ann.
Good morning. Good to see you.
It's good to be
Yeah.
back. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've been on before, and I've always started by saying that my interest in the topic of death is not a morbid one.
No.
It's based on the fact that I had a wonderful mother whom I loved very much, and she died of ovarian cancer. Her death was an 11-month tragedy.
It's a horrible,
She
yeah.
suffered terribly, and many, many years later, my wonderful dog had to be euthanized, and when I took my dog to the vet and the vet administered a barbiturate, I had a crystallizing moment, and I thought, people should be able to die like a dog. People who have no opportunity to continue living, who face a future of pain and suffering and indignity, should have the right to say, okay, I'm finished. I would really like to end my life now, and I'd like it to be painless and peaceful. That's a very radical thought in this country. In Europe, there are several nations where voluntary euthanasia has been accepted, primarily in the Netherlands and in Belgium, to some extent in Spain, which is a very Catholic country. In this country, there are 10 states plus the District of Columbia which do have death with dignity laws. New York State does not yet. So I work with two organizations, Final Exit Network and Compassion and Choices. And I'd like to talk about Final Exit Network first, and then Compassion and Choices,
sure.
if that's okay. The concept of Final Exit Network is that dying shouldn't hurt, and that people who do not face any possibility of continued good living should be able to exit. That's the euphemistic term for taking their own life. And that's a very radical thought to most Americans. But Final Exit Network does not do anything. It provides information. And fortunately, we still have in this country freedom of speech. So Final Exit Network publishes a magazine. It has a website which provides you with guidance, with information, and it has a committee of people who will review your situation, will talk to you, will advise you of your options, and who will actually provide a comforting presence should you decide that this is it, you have had enough. Someone to hold your hand, but not to do anything.
No, it's
else.
something, it's voluntary. I'm going to interject that I have had a very close friend who lived in Canada. And he called me the night before. He was in a hospital, called me the night before, told me that he couldn't go on any longer because of his condition. It was really horrible. He was in a lot of pain and everything. And he made that choice, and his family agreed. I mean, it was a family decision, talked about it. And he told me that at 2 o'clock tomorrow, And just before that, he posted the most beautiful post on Facebook that really made me, even though I was not familiar with the concept, going through this and seeing what Bob did, it made me just really realize this is a good thing.
Right, and in Canada, physicians are actually legally empowered in some of the provinces.
He was in the hospital when he, yeah.
To administer a barbiturate, so that truly you can die as peacefully as your pet can die.
And
I
his
said-
family was with him, so
Right.
it was really, so it made me realize that really, and I've seen people die in very horrible
Right.
ways, lengthy with ALS and things like that, that are horrible.
Right, right.
You know.
People should not suffer at
Yeah.
the end of life. So Final Exit Network is an outgrowth of the Death with Dignity movement. It is primarily an advisory organization, but it provides a loving presence and good information. Now, on a more practical level, here we are in New York State. We do not yet have a Death with Dignity law. And for that purpose, Compassion and Choices is the activist organization.
In New York.
Throughout the country.
Throughout the country,
They
okay.
have chapters in all the states. But in New York State, we have been very, very close to getting a Death with Dignity bill. So I would, if I may, read you a couple of...
Sure, and I thought you brought some slides too, so I'm not sure if you're using those at all.
Not yet. The
Not yet,
slides are
okay.
primarily contacting
Okay,
Final
okay.
Exit. Okay. The New York State Legislature is currently considering a bill called the Medical Aid in Dying Act. It's often referred to as the Death with Dignity bill. Once passed, this bill would allow terminally ill adults with less than 6 months
That's
to
right.
live.
Very, very restrictive. It's
Right.
not like you can say, let's get rid of
Right.
old granny there.
Right. It is the individual who must take the action. Those terminally ill individuals would have the option of asking a physician for a prescription that they would take to end their unbearable suffering. No physician is required to participate. The New York Medical Aid in Dying Act is A4321A. That's a real easy number to remember. It's modeled after the Oregon Death with Dignity Act, which has been in effect since 1997.
Been very successful and no problems.
Right, not a single legally documented instance of abuse or coercion. 1 in 5 Americans, 20% of Americans right now have the option of accessing medical aid in dying because of the 10 states plus DC. That's 20% of Americans. In New Jersey and Vermont, our fellow citizens now have that right. The bill in New York has a lot of safeguards. The patient has to make the request orally and in writing. No one else can do this on the patient's behalf. The person has to be able to self-ingest the medication. No doctor and no pharmacy is required to participate. And there was a Marist poll recently, in fact, it was released just a couple of weeks ago. New Yorkers support this bill 59%, and doctors support it 67%. The League of Women Voters supports it, the New York State Academy of Family Physicians, statewide Senior Action Council. So I guess what I would say is if you support the concept of having control over the end of your life, you really want to support Compassion and Choices and Final Exit, both of which have excellent informative websites.
And that's 4321?
A4321.
That's in the Assembly for
In
A.
the Assembly, and in the...
And the Senate
in
should
the
have a
Senate,
comparable one.
It is 6471.
Okay. 6471.
Right.
Easy to remember.
Right. So I'm here to vigorously encourage anybody listening who is sympathetic to this right to choose how you exit Earth. to support Compassion and Choices and Final Exit Network. Those
And
are-
no one is requiring you as a person to do this. It's just
Absolutely.
giving the option to those that are terminally ill or can't go on anymore to make their own decision.
Right.
Is that
and-
correct?
Right, and for
Yeah.
people who face a bleak future, having this power or having this ability brings enormous comfort. The reality is most people in Oregon and Washington State and California who actually get the medication, the barbiturates that would allow them to die, do not take it, but they find enormous comfort in knowing
That they can.
that they can.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like the idea of dignity because I saw someone die of ALS and there was no dignity in that.
That is
There was
correct.
no dignity at all.
Right.
So, yes, I want to thank you so much, Eleanor, for being on the show, and we hope to encourage people to check out these two bills out there and perhaps, and support them, because even if you don't think you would want to do that, you never know, because until you get to that point.
Yeah, it's one bill, but they have two numbers because of the Assembly
Well,
and
that's what I say,
Senate.
there's two, because the Assembly and the Senate, and they both have to be identical, those bills.
Right,
So, yes.
right.
So,
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much for
having
being
me.
here. Come again, keep us posted. And we're going to switch right over here and talk to the Executive Director of the Family and Child Service of Schenectady, doing some really good work. And she's going to bring on another guest with her as well, Sobana. Yeah,
Yes,
good.
yes.
So first of all, let's find out what you're doing. And I know you're new to the team, but you're doing great.
Yeah, good morning. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. We are doing great work. We often say that great things are happening at Family and Child Service. I joined the team in April.
I know, just right in the middle of the pandemic. Oh, God.
Yes, and we've been very busy in the past couple months. So we're pleased today to talk about our supported employment program.
Yes, and you brought your guest.
Shobana is
Shobana
here
is here.
today.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so
Shobana is
much.
our director of self-direction and self-directed services, which includes supported employment.
Okay, now this has to do with people with disabilities of some sort, is that
Yes,
correct? Okay, so
yes.
let's talk about that. And
Okay.
how do you choose these people and how do they come to you?
Great. So we believe fundamentally that every person is employable, that every person deserves the opportunity to pursue their why and wake up every day looking forward
With purpose.
to committing to a purpose, to finding joy. And so we work with all individuals to help them integrate and be included in the community in that way. So we serve individuals with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and their families in individualized, specialized ways to help them move toward their goal. That might mean that they get connected with understanding what type of employment they're looking for. It might mean shadowing someone or getting into that workplace environment and developing those workforce skills that are necessary to be successful in that area.
And there's also workshops that are available that they can go into and work, right? Is that?
Actually.
Or there used to be anyway.
There used to be, yeah.
Over-
The workshops have closed.
Yes.
Oh, it's closed, okay.
They
Tell us
don't
about
do
that.
that anymore because if I go for a job, I get the rate of pay as anyone else. The workshop was paying
But
the
you
people
paid less.
very less.
Usually by, what do they call it, piecemeal.
Piecemeal. And now it's not, everybody wants to work the same rate of pay, and that's why the SEM
Okay.
program came into. It used to be there, but in 2006.
Oh, boy, am I out of the loop here. Yeah, I remember them because they were over at the Capital District Psychiatric Center. They had a big,
Yes.
yeah, and I actually saw it, so I,
Yeah, so they wanted to make sure all our individuals get the rate of pay the same as anybody else.
okay.
Just like when we introduce ourselves, we say, I'm so-and-so, I am the director of self-direction. We want our individuals also to say the same thing, not to highlight their disabilities.
Right, no.
So that is the main reason Family and Child Service wanted to do self-employment.
Are you working quite closely with businesses that will hire and have jobs that are compatible, I guess, is the word I'm trying to think of.
So our lens, as Jennifer always says, our lens is two ways, one from the business side and also from the individuals. So we are going to collaborate with any businesses in Capital
So if
District.
they're watching right now, they should
Yes,
think,
they should be thinking, okay, we are going to approach them and our clients will be working for them and bringing the best with the job coaches. So they are the main champions who's going to support our individuals to become the best candidates.
and that might be Jaques coming on in a little bit, so we'll
Yes.
talk about
So
him as well.
We've developed a team of success coaches that come from the community and have been able to look at things through the viewpoint of not only the businesses, but also being the employee, so employer and employee. And our priority is to make sure that there is a very good fit for the individual when they're put into a respective job. Because just like you and I, right, when we wake up in the morning, we want to be able to get out of bed and be motivated to go to work. And our individuals that we work with also want that. And so it's
You
important
want
to
them,
us.
you want success involved here.
Yes, and that's why we have success coaches from all different sectors in the community who have worked in different ways on both sides of the coin, so to speak.
Well, it looks like you have a big job that you're doing, and I applaud what you're doing, and I think next Jaques is going to come on and talk
Yes.
about what his does. Thank you for being
Thank
here
you
today
so
to
much.
explain what we're doing and to encourage any employers that might want to come on board and work with you, and you will guide them, is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Telling them what the availability is and what skills that are available. That's great. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for being
so
on the show.
much.
Come again.
Yes,
Yes,
for
love to
sure.
have you.
Thank you.
And Jaques is coming on.
Yes,
Jaques Daniel, I
yes.
believe.
We
Yeah.
actually have a process, our job coaches, hi Jacques.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Our job coaches are certified by our funder, OPWDD, and there's a process that they go through to learn the ins and outs of pairing individuals with employers and employers with individuals.
Okay, now Jaques, your title, I didn't write down your title, but your title is, no, you're not a coach. Tell me your title.
Sure. I'm the
I wrote
supervisor
it
of the
down.
SIP
I think
program.
it's on screen, but I,
Yeah, not a problem at all. I'm the supervisor of the SIP program.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal program. One of the great aspects about the program is that we have, like Jennifer was saying, we have a lot of outside individuals that we have, ourselves as well, that's been in the community, have different skills and attributes that we bring into the program to help our clients get acclimated back into society, have them find jobs.
do you do
Being
the
that-
assessment? Are you kind of an assessor to see what skills they have, or is, yeah?
Correct, yes. We
So,
work with the
so
job
someone
coaches.
comes to you and they have a disability. Maybe they're blind, maybe they're, they're in a wheelchair.
Right.
So you kind of figure out what their skills are. Is that?
Absolutely, right. Their passion and their aspiration as well. What's something
I
they wanna
like
do,
the word
you know?
passion. Thank you for using that.
Absolutely. So it's our goal to ensure that we help them get to those goals as well. So, because at the end of the day, there are people just like us too. They
Oh,
want to
yeah.
get up out of bed. They want to do things for themselves. They want to be able to get back into the normalcy with everyone else. And sometimes, we tend to go about our job, our days, and we forget about them. We want to get them back into in the working world and in the inclusion. So that's why the SIM program is so important to doing that.
Yeah, and they have skills that they can bring.
Absolutely.
And even if they don't have a skill that they know about, you might be able to bring that out. Say, oh, I didn't know you were that good at that. And you
Exactly.
say, well, I don't do it a lot, but I can do this. And yeah, well, that's exactly what we need.
Right, exactly. And that's why it's so important to go in and kind of be the liaison between each and the different companies in the community, the little mom and pop stores as well, just to help embrace those skills and the attribute. And it's the collaboratively, everyone's in the same boat, rolling together. One make a promise to the clients and also to deliver some good services as well to the organizations.
And you're employing people.
Right.
That's a good thing. When you see all these jobs out there, people looking for help, they need to open their eyes and take a look at everybody that's looking for jobs, you know.
Exactly.
And if you think about it, we all have coaches, right?
Oh,
We
yeah.
all use mentors and facilitators in
Absolutely.
our lives. And so our success coaches partner with the individuals that we serve and help them to be successful.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, that they know that this is out there. So how do you find people that, I mean, they're home and they're, you know, feeling frustrated and, you know, they got a caregiver that comes in and all that, but they really want to do something more. How do you find them?
So we have our contact information up on the slides, but we have a great dynamic website. So if you go to the familyandchildservice.com website, there's an entire Career Center section that talks about SEMP and the full range of services that we offer. So if anybody that's watching feels like they think they need more information, reach out. We'd love to have a conversation. Part of the work that we do is exploring that potential, right? No matter where you are in the continuum, we're there to help, right? So if that means just figuring out what it is that makes you excited about life, we're there. If it means do you need more hours, you want to change your direction, maybe one of the, you know, how many people are impacted by COVID, right? Our individuals are impacted by COVID too. We can help you shift, right? And change directions, find something that looks different now because the world is different.
The world is different. Maybe you're going to be doing things on Zoom, who knows? What is the charge for this?
There is no charge.
Isn't
right?
that great? Did you
And
just hear that? Did you hear that?
We provide service excellence,
Yeah.
right? That is our goal. It's a core value that we offer to the community, and we work with that individual with the priority of making them successful.
And look, you got Jaques here that's going to get them straightened out, know what jobs
Absolutely.
they're good for, and then you had Sobana. They're doing some really great work with companies. You've got a great team, and I'm sure there's more because I saw more
Yes.
pictures on your website.
Yes, we have an entire team, and that's one of the value-added benefits also. We have job coaches that can get paired with individuals, so you aren't limited by the person you can work with, right? You can look for somebody who has expertise in your area of interest, and we can pair you with that individual.
Do you do any training at all? I mean, like if they've never used a computer, do you?
Of course.
Yeah, you do.
Of
So
course.
you do what you can to do it. I want to thank you both for being here. You don't need to run off. I'm just going to say who's coming on next week. We've got a John Oliver. No, it's not the John Oliver you're thinking of. He goes by J.P.V. Oliver Gent, and he wrote a book that says, I know this looks bad. It's really a funny book, very funny. And then we have a band leader coming on, and that's Doc Horton. He's with the J Street Band. He's the founder of it, and we're going to be talking about some of the work that they're doing. They aren't going to be performing because of, COVID, the whole thing. I won't go into it. Then we have the Bunbury Players coming on. Garrett West will be here, and he's going to be talking about the Diary of Anne Frank. And we have the Schenectady Civic Players coming on. They're going to be talking about Random World. This is great. Theater's back. Schenectady Light Opera is going to be here to talk about Glorious Ones. So we've got 3 theater groups and a band, and I want to just wish you all a happy Halloween, too, besides. But thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much.
And happy Halloween to you all.